Egypt, there was no animal sacrifice for sin. That's why I said it was added 430 years later. The Lord hadn't even put the facilities up. But once he got them out, sisters and brothers, then he started making preparations because this people backslid, this people committed evil, they broke all his laws. So now he is either going to have to kill them or come up with something to replace it. So he had to set him something in order to handle this business. Let's go into Exodus, the 25th chapter. See, the Lord, this is what people sometimes, you know what happens with people sometimes. You tell them to do certain things, they don't, and you ask them to do it, and they don't, and then sometimes you stop asking because you get tired of talking. Then they start doing what they want. They think that they got away with it. No, you ain't got away with nothing. The axe going to fall on you, and when it falls, ain't no crying, no murmuring, no nothing. It is over. People got to understand that, sister and brother. Sometimes people do that with me. I say this is the way we're going to do this. It's because this is good for everybody. But nobody listen. I said 2 or 3 times, you know, then I just shut up. You think I ain't looking. I'm looking intently. And when you get to the right spot, I'm going to put this boot on you. Not out of meanness, not out of anger, out of necessity. Because a person that don't change is set for destruction. That's what it's all about, repenting, sisters and brothers. So now, Israel backslid. And when they came out of Egypt, 430 years from the time they went in there, they had no sacrifice for sin. God didn't require it. When he first took them in the wilderness, he didn't require it. But the people kept going and going. So the Lord had to fix something here. Chapter 25, we're going to start reading at verse 1. 25 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering of every man that giveth it willingly with his heart, ye shall take my offering.
Look, the Lord always requires offering from his servant. You understand? It is you can get free will and your tithes are 10%. Some people kick against that. But look here, if you and the Lord put you in the world of man, ran by man, and man used money as a medium of exchange. Therefore, if you're going to take care of God's business, you got to do it what he said. He said do it willingly. If you got a begrudge and put some money in the plate, then keep it. Lord he ain't got to beg you.
Right.
That's why we don't pass no plate. We ain't got to beg you. You don't take care of the Lord's business, he ain't going to give you no business to take care of.
Right.
Go ahead, what verse?
3rd verse.
So the Lord said, now I want you to make me a tabernacle here. Bring me a free offering. I want all y'all to bring it, and I want it to be free will. Skip down to verse 8. Verse 8 and go ahead.
And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them.
And let them make me a sanctuary, that I might dwell among them. You think God needed man to do this? No, he wants to show you that you are worthy of this great blessing that he's given you. Have them make me a sanctuary that I might dwell among them. Go ahead and read.
According to all that I show thee, after the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall ye make it.
And you can't make it according to the imagination of your own heart. Even the building that I'm going to set in, I want you to make it just like I tell you to make it. God is a God of definition. He defines everything he wants done. And you're going to go willy-nilly, well, whatever the Spirit leads me. The Spirit ain't leading you nowhere. The Spirit leads you to read the book.
Right.
The Spirit is through talking.
Right.
He done wrote it down.
Right.
That's why I told his prophet, write it in a book. I don't have to sit up here. I'm waiting now. What's the boy doing? Well, I'm waiting. I'm tarrying for the Holy Ghost. He wrote it in the book. And if you don't get it out of the book, it is no good. He said now, and then he's going to tell a few things. Now, let's go into Exodus 26th chapter. We ain't got time to deal with all this stuff he said do. But I want to show you how that this thing is brought together. 26, and let's start at verse 1. Exodus 26, and we're going to start at verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet. with cherubims of cunning work thou shalt make them.
So he's telling them how to design it, because the Lord likes beauty too. People think God don't like beauty. He loves beauty. Skip down to verse 30. Verse 30 and go ahead.
And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof, which was showed thee in the mount. And thou shalt make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen of cunning work. With cherubim shall it be made.
He said, now you're going to set up the tabernacle, and you're going to make it all this fine linen and fine twine. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt hang it up 4 pillars of shittim wood overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold upon the 4 sockets of silver.
Go ahead. Now, he's putting it up. This thing is fine.
Yeah, it is.
Exquisite. Go ahead and read. Now, you figure, well, you know, we're going to come in old church. Look here, sisters and brothers. Beauty is what God loves. And he don't want you skipping on him, too.
No, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt hang up the veil under the taches. Thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide into you between the holy place and the most holy place.
Now, when you make this tabernacle, this is a big tent at that time. And he said, I want you to make a veil, a great big curtain. And I want you to hang this curtain to separate this tent. In front of the curtain is called the holy place. And behind the veil is called the most holy place. Because in the most holy place, sister and brother, that's where the Lord said he's going to be. And believe it or not, after the 10 Commandments, Moses got all the rest of his orders in the tabernacle. He would go in front of the veil, and he'd hear the voice of the Lord, the speaking from above the mercy seat. See, we ain't got time to read all that. And he'd get his marching orders, and he'd take it back to the people.
Right.
That's what he did. We could read all that stuff, but we don't have time. But now, once he done that, but he picked that up, he had to do something with that, sisters and brothers. Now he had his veil. He had his most holy place. Now he got his tabernacle in order. Now it's time to set his priest up. Let's go into Exodus, the 28th chapter. Exodus, the 28th chapter. I'm just walking you through this thing so you will see how this thing came together. It wasn't like that when it come out of Egypt. Wasn't necessary. All we had to do was obey. Nobody listens to God.
That's right, brother.
That's why when the drummer fall on you and you get them whine and he don't listen to you, then you want to get mad. Well, I ain't praying to him no more because he ain't never gotten me out of trouble. He didn't get you in it either. Be smart. Take your medicine and go on about your business. Verse 1, 28 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
And take down to thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with them from among the children of Israel.
Go ahead.
That they minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons.
He said, I want you to get Aaron's and his sons, and I'm going to make them the priests now. Now they're going to minister unto me in the priest's office. Then he started telling you how the clothes to make from, the garments that they supposed to wear.
Right.
Because he made them, let's read just a little bit. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. Thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garment to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office.
He said, now I want you to pick Aaron and his son, and I want you to go and make some holy garments, and I want you to make the good stuff that they might serve in the priest's office. In other words, because I got a job for them to do. Now let's go and look at it, okay? Let's go and look at Leviticus, the 4th chapter. Leviticus chapter 4. Can you make it then?
Yeah. No, he probably got it because my throat, brother.
Okay, we're going to change readers right now. Leviticus, the 4th chapter, sisters and brothers. Because look, the Lord set up the tent to put his business in. Then the Lord turned around and he picked his priesthood. Then he turned around and picked the clothing for his priesthood because they got a job to do. We're going to go until somebody can come and replace them. 4 and 1. Leviticus, the 4th chapter. Leviticus chapter 4. Leviticus chapter 4. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Andrew, wait a minute. Come up here and replace things. Huh? I want Andrew to do it. Okay. Change your God, sisters and brothers. Because I just see the reason the Lord put it in my mind, sisters and brothers, to do this thing a step at a time is because you have to understand the importance of God's law. And we cannot be confusing these laws with one another because the Lord have fixed this thing and it's got to be fixed. And you got to do it the way he want to do it, and you don't do it at all. I get tired of people, even among men, I can't stand people that have a problem with taking orders. You do what you're supposed to do, and you'd be surprised how easy your life can be. But when you do something wrong, you make everybody's life. You create conditions that shouldn't be because you're doing wrong. Leviticus 4, and let's start at verse 1. Now we got our priests. We have dressed our priests in holy garments, which are beautiful. Now, let's see some of the things they're going to do. 4 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying.
Uh-huh. Well, turn it on, Andrew. Okay. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying.
Uh-huh.
Speaking to the children of Israel, saying.
Go ahead.
If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord, concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them.
Go ahead.
If the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin, which he hath sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering.
Now look, he said, now if the people sin, that's the Lord always had it now. He ain't sinning on purpose now. If you sin in ignorance, or you didn't intend to do it, but anytime you sin on purpose or willfully sin, you ain't never had no escape hatch for that. But if you did it unwillingly, then what you got to do, you got to get a young bullock, everybody, with the priest and everybody, and take it to the Lord. Go ahead and read.
And he shall bring the bullock unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord.
The same one that we saw in Bill. Go ahead and read.
And shall lay his hands upon the bullock's head, and kill the bullock before the Lord.
Go ahead.
And the priest that is anointed shall take of the bullock's blood.
Now, it ain't anybody now. The priest that is anointed, sisters and brothers. Because he can't do the sacrifice without the priest. You got to have a priest. Now, this couldn't be Moses because Moses was working on the Melchizedek's priesthood. It was still in order. That's why when Abraham was blessed, Melchizedek came from heaven and come down there and blessed him. And Moses was operating under his priesthood. One man. That's why Jeff Rose said, you got to get you some help. So now, you take it to the high priest, the priest that is anointed. Go ahead and finish that.
And bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood.
Go ahead.
And sprinkle the blood 7 times before the Lord. Before the veil of the sanctuary.
Now, when you kill the animal, then the priest would get a basin, get the blood. He would dip his finger in the blood, and he would sprinkle it 7 times before the veil. Say before the Lord, which is before the veil, sister and brother. Because the Lord is supposed to be set behind the veil when you make your supplication in the most holy place. So the priest would get the people blood for the sacrifice and sprinkle it. If it was the priest that sinned, if it was an individual that sinned, or if the whole nation sinned. Skip down to verse 13. Verse 13. Verse 13, and go ahead.
And if the whole congregation of Israel sin through ignorance, and the thing be hid from the eyes of the assembly,
go ahead.
And they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord, concerning things which should not be done,
go ahead.
Are guilty. When the sin which they have sinned against it is known, then the congregation shall offer a young bullock for the sin.
Go ahead.
And bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation.
Go ahead.
And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before the Lord.
Now they're going to come and they're going to lay their hand up on him and they're going to kill him. Go ahead and read.
And the bullock shall be killed before the Lord. And the priest that is anointed shall bring of the bullock's blood to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood.
Go ahead.
And sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord, even before the veil.
Now, if the whole nation sin, then the priest got to do the same thing. You got to kill the bullock. Then he got to get the blood and put his finger in it, and he got to go and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord, which is before the veil, sister and brother, which represents being before the Lord. And once he do that, then this is the result. Skip down to verse 20. Verse 20. Go ahead and read.
And he shall do with the bullock
Go
as
ahead.
he did with the bullock for a sin offering. So shall he do with this.
Go ahead.
And the priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them.
Now, that's what the priest is doing with the blood. He's using the blood of the bullock to make an atonement for the people, and their sin shall be forgiven. So the Lord set that up, but he had to have a priesthood to do it, sisters and brothers. And he didn't have a priesthood to do it when he came out of Egypt. But first thing then, once he put the priest tabernacle up, then he cut the priest, then he gave the priest the reason for being there. That is to execute this new law that he brought on the scene. Now let's go back to Galatians. I told you to keep your marker there. We're going to be in and out of there all day. Galatians, the 3rd chapter. And Paul is chiding these people, these Gentiles here. People think Paul is chiding these people because they're keeping the commandments. He is not chiding them because they're keeping the commandments. He is chiding them because some of them Pharisees and come up behind them and got to these people. And they started sacrificing animals now. Galatians 3:1. Go ahead and read.
O foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you,
go ahead,
that you should not obey the truth.
Now when he said, who have bewitched you that ye should not obey the truth? Sisters and brothers, what is not true about God's commandments? First thing is your flag should go up, shouldn't it? What you mean don't obey the truth? You mean you don't want, you mean I can steal, kill, commit adultery, and bear false witness on people? He ain't talking about it. And we're going to show you that you should not obey the truth. Go ahead and read.
Before whose eyes Jesus Christ have been evidently set forth, crucified among you.
He said, look, y'all done crucified him all over again. Go ahead and read.
This only would I learn of you. Receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith.
Look, did you receive the Spirit by killing animals or by hearing what the Lord said once he came and died for you? Look what he said. He said, did you do it? Skip down to verse 11. Verse 11 and go ahead.
But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of God.
But no man is justified by the law in the sight of God. Go ahead.
It is evident, for the just shall live by faith.
Because you got to live by your belief. If Israel had believed God, then we wouldn't have had to kill animals. If Adam and Eve had believed God, then wouldn't be no dying today, sisters and brothers. Wouldn't be no death. The just shall live by faith. Skip down to verse 18. Verse 18 and go ahead.
For if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more a promise.
Go ahead.
But God gave it to Abraham by promise.
See, look, the inheritance, the one that become Jesus and become Abraham's seed, if you're Christ, that is not by the law. That is by promise, sisters and brothers. So an inheritance is not by the law. Go ahead and read.
Wherefore then serve the law?
Why then serve the law? Go ahead.
It was added because of transgression.
It was added because of transgression, sisters and brothers. See, this is what people on, this whole Galatians, the 3rd chapter is about the law that was added because they broke the other law. Finish that.
Till the seed should come, to whom the promise was made, and it was ordained by angels in the hand of a mediator.
And that law was to be enforced until the seed came by whom the promise was made, which is Jesus, sisters and brothers. So why are you serving this law? He asking them. It was added because of transgression. In other words, transgression means breaking of the law. Sin. So let's go and see what sin is then. Let's go into 1 John, the 3rd chapter. Keep your marker here. We're going to be back. 1 John, the 3rd chapter. See, this is how you find out stuff, sisters and brothers. You may as well start getting serious about your salvation. Because I'm going to tell you something. The day going to come when you wish you had. And the very time for you to make up your mind whether you're going to commit suicide or not is while you looking down the hill or down the mountain. Don't jump off and then change your mind. It's too late now. So this is the right time is now. Don't wait till you stand before the Lord and say, I wish I had. Whole lot of wish I had. I wish I hadn't loaned this cat $10,000. I wouldn't be broke now. But I can't wish my money back. You understand what I'm saying? Wish I had don't work. 1 John 3, we're going to read one verse, verse 4. 1 John 3 and 4. 1 John 3 and 4. Now, if you don't know, you're finna find out for the first time in your life what sin is. Verse 4, go ahead.
Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law.
Whosoever committed sin transgresses also the law. Go ahead and read.
For sin is the transgression of the
For
law.
sin is the transgression of the law. Ain't that simple? Now you're going to run around and call me a sinner, but you stealing, you killing, you lying on people. You sneaking in somebody's back door and messing with his wife. But you're going to call me a sinner. That's why you get the gay people all up in the air. They done figured the thing out. Hey, they just dirty us up. So how they going to condemn us? I agree with it. I'm not upholding their cause, but I see what they saying. How can you come and tell me my house is raggedy, and every time it rains, your house look like a sieve? Fix your house first. Sin is the transgression of the law. Now let's go into Romans the 5th chapter. Romans the 5th chapter.